I'm gonna go with a little bit theory, so you gotta bear with me a little bit, because first it's very important to understand the theory, and then we can dive a little deep into understanding the code and stuff. So let's understand what AWS Glue is, and why we should learn about this. So let's see a small video.
I'm Jeff Barr, and I'm here to announce the general availability of AWS Glue. AWS Glue is a serverless, fully managed, and cloud-optimized extract, transform, and load, or ETL service. One of the hardest parts of an analytics or data warehousing project is setting up and maintaining a reliable ETL process. Glue helps you understand your data, suggests transformations, and generates ETL code so you spend less time hand coding. Glue's flexible scheduler runs your ETL jobs on a scale-out Spark platform, automatically provisioning the resources needed to complete them. Glue includes a data catalog, basically a central metadata repository, an ETL engine that can auto-generate Python code, and a flexible scheduler that handles dependency resolution, job monitoring, and retries. Together, these automate much of the heavy lifting involved with discovering, categorizing, cleaning, enriching, and moving data. Less heavy lifting, more time for analysis. Glue automatically discovers your data, determines the schema, and builds your data catalog. The Glue Data Catalog provides out-of-the-box integration with Amazon Athena, Amazon EMR, and Amazon Redshift Spectrum. The ETL code Glue generates is just Python code that's entirely customizable, reusable, and portable. You can edit this code using your favorite IDE or notebook and share it with others using GitHub. Finally, Glue is serverless. There are no resources to manage, and you only pay for the resources your jobs consume while they run. To get started, simply visit the AWS Management Console and walk through one of our guided tutorials. Thanks for watching.
So that gave us a really nice idea about what AWS Glue is. So it's basically a way to extract your data, apply some transformation, and then move that data in some data storage, right? So basically it's just in a fancy way, I would like to say, think about in a layman language, I would say, to apply to manipulate the data. It's so you write Spark, you write Python code to do that, right? So Glue offers all of that. Now, before we move into fancy terms such as the crawlers and the metadata and the data catalog, all of that, I would like to show a small demonstration that would explain these concepts in much simpler way. So let me thinking, what am I doing in the kitchen? And I'm in the kitchen because I would like to explain you about AWS Glue. I always try to relate things with my day-to-day life. It helps me to understand things. So I have this drawer right now. If I pull this drawer up, as you can see, I have certain things inside that. I have a fork, I have a spoon, and other silverwares, right? So what I'm trying to do is now, I'm on a piece of paper. I'm gonna write what all things I have inside. For example, I have three things to remember. For example, I have spoon, I have a fork, and then I have some silverware, right? So what I'm trying to say, what you wrote on the piece of paper was just a metadata. You said, okay, these are the items I have. You do not know about the quantity. You never mentioned about the quantity. That's when you would write on a script, right? So what you just saw, what you just wrote on a piece of paper, for example, I have a fork, I have a knife, I have a spoon. These are different items that you have in your drawer, right? So basically a catalog or basically crawler, what it does is basically it's gonna open up the drawer for you, and it's gonna see, okay, what all items do you have in that? Okay, you have a spoon, you have a fork, you have a knife. That's exactly what a crawler does in a Glue, right? And basically once it does crawl over that, it basically writes on a piece of paper. So I'm gonna write, okay, I have a fork, I have a spoon, I have a knife, and then it's gonna close the drawer. And then if you want to remove items, or if you want to do some transformation, you write script. That is exactly what AWS Glue is all about. So this is how I can explain you in a very layman language, as I said, simple terms, about data catalogs and crawlers. All right, so let's understand a little bit, read about a little bit of theory. I believe theory is a little important because it allows you to answer questions in the interview, right? So let's just read a couple of definitions. If you want, you can directly jump to or you could skip this part and directly scroll to the main part. But I am gonna read a little bit about Glue that I found on the internet. So it's simple, scalable, and serverless data integration. AWS Glue is serverless data integration service that makes it easy to discover, prepare, and combine data for analytics, machine learning, and application development. AWS Glue provides all of the capabilities needed for a data integration so that you can analyze your data and putting it to the use in minutes instead of months. Data integration is the process of preparing and combining data for analytics, machine learning, and application development. It involves multiple tasks such as discovering, extracting data from various sources, enriching it, cleaning, normalizing, and combining and loading and organizing data into the databases. Data warehouse and data lakes, these tasks are often handled by different types of users that each use the product. AWS Glue provides both visual and code-based interface to make data integration easier. User can easily find and access data using AWS Glue Data Catalog. Data engineers and ETL, extract, transform, and load developers can visually create, run, monitor ETL workflows with few clicks in AWS Glue Studio. Data analysts and data scientists can use AWS Glue or Data Brew to visually enrich, clean, and normalize data without writing code. With AWS Glue, Elastic Views and application development can use familiar structure and query language (SQL) to combine and replicate data across different data stores. So hopefully this makes sense and it gives you a nice understanding about what Glue is. Part 2 about code snippets. Now I would like to jump into a code a little bit about the Glue. So let's do that. So that's the basic import that you would find usually in all Glue scripts, right? So you can simply say from import AWS Glue, or you could import certain modules from the Glue. AWS Glue has certain sub-modules. For example, it has a transform module, a utils module, a context module, and a jobs module. So these are the various sub-modules that the package offers. Each sub-package comes with several helper class. That's the word used. Like it has classes, and each class has it takes a certain attributes and has some methods. So I would love to go a little bit into these methods and attribute. So this is the basic way in which you would create a Spark session, right? This is basically a common you would find across all the Glue scripts. So let me show you something before that. So this is the template, right? So you would write your code right here. So you would have this imports, which is common across all the Glue scripts. You would create your Spark session. That's also again common. And at the end, you will commit your job. And between that, that's where you would write your code. Let's review it again. You have your imports, right? So the AWS Glue module offers several sub modules such as transform, util, context, and jobs, right? So either you can just say import AWS Glue. In general, that would import everything. But if you want to import specific module, you can specify with this approach. In AWS Glue, you need to create a Spark session or a Spark. So basically you do that using Spark context, and then you create a Glue context. You pass the Spark context to it, and that's the pretty easiest way to create a Spark session on AWS Glue. That's the very basic template that I could think of, right? So this is a template which you would use to write code. So you would write your code right here, okay? So that makes sense. Now let's go to the part of basically dynamic frames. So let me cover a little bit about that. Dynamic frames in AWS Glue. As I said, I haven't even went to the console yet and showed you something. I truly believe let's understand the theory and the code snippets. And once we have a clear understanding and a nice picture, we could go to the console and write some code there, okay? So dynamic frame. One of the major abstraction in Apache Spark is the Spark SQL data frame, which is similar to the data frame construct found in R or Pandas. Hey man, in simple language, it's basically a Pandas data frame. Just think of it that. A data frame is similar to a table that supports functional style. So basically, a data frame, you can do some operations such as map, reduce, filter, apply some function, do some cleaning, simple layman language, as I said. Operations and SQL operations such as select, project, and aggregate. Data frames are powerful and widely used, but they have limited they have limitations with respect to extract, transform, and load. Most significantly, they require schema to be specified before any data is loaded. So yeah, you gotta provide a schema, right? So the dynamic reader class has following three methods. So you could read data from a data catalog. As I said, we'll cover when we go to the glue stuff, from options and from RDD. So these are the different ways or different approaches from which you can read data. So if you want to read data from let's say JDBC connection, so you could use, for example, from options. If you want to use data from a data catalog, which, as I said, the example that I gave you, what is a catalog? You open up the drawer, it tells you basically what items are there. It's basically that. So that's like basically a glue catalog or whatever you want to call. So that's data catalog, and from RDD, from other sources and stuff like that. So let's cover a little bit into from catalog option. So that's one of the methods, right? As I said. So from catalog. It reads a dynamic frame using a specified catalog namespace table. So these are all the these are all the sub methods that it takes, right? So let me show you the next slide, which would make sense. Okay, this should make sense. So as you can see, this is nothing but you're creating a data frame object. So glue context.create dynamic frame. So you're saying that, hey, I would like to create a data frame. And then you're saying from catalog. So there are three options you can give, right? From catalog, from option, from RDD. This example right here, I'm showing you from catalog. From catalog means, hey, I'm using the glue data catalog or whatever fancy name you want to give. So it takes three attributes: database, the table name, and the transformation CTX. Transformation CTX is basically just a unique identifier. You can give it anything. You can say food, blah, a, blue, whatever, but it's just a unique identifier, right? So as I said, whenever you want to read data from, in your glue scripts, you could do that using three options: from RDD, from options, from catalog. From catalog, as I was just explaining, is basically data from the data catalog, right? Let me show you that what exactly from catalog means. So I'm on my Glue console and just want to show you the slide that I was talking, right, from catalog. So the from catalog means you want to read data from the Glue. So as you can see, I have a database called FlightsDB and it has a table called flights CSV. So in the code, if you want to read data from a Glue catalog, as I said, I haven't still explained you the AWS console. I'm just explaining you the concepts and the different methods you have. So you provide the database name, the table name, and the transformation CTX, which is a unique identifier. So hopefully this should make sense, and I'm gonna go to the next option the Glue provides. So the next option the Glue provides is from RDD. As I said, from RDD, so that's a method, and it takes following attributes: data, name, schema, and sample rate. So that's also one of the method in which you could read data. You also have the ability to read data from various sources. In that case, you can say from options. So from options, as I said, reads data from maybe S3, JDBC connection, MySQL, Elasticsearch. All of that could be done using this method from option. As you can see, it takes. Here I have a small example. As I said, it takes a path, and then you say, okay, you provide the list of various file paths that you would like to read in your Glue scripts, right? So you provide that. So you have the ability to do that as well. As I said, there are various options. You could go to the documentation and explore more if you would like to do that. But I just want to give you a high level overview that yes, you could read data from S3, Dynamo, RDS, blah, blah, blah. We'll see the big picture, but let's just understand the concept, what all methods are there. Okay, these are the stuff we have. So let's just review this quickly. Let me go to this part. I think we have done this. So we saw that it has a template. That's the template we follow. So basically, then after that, we saw a class called Dynamic Frame Reader. He has three methods called from RDD, from option, from catalog. From catalog is basically used to read data from a Glue Data Catalog. From options provides the ability to read data from various sources such as S3, Elasticsearch, RDS, DynamoDB, and stuff like that. And then again you have from RDD. Each method has certain attributes. It takes certain attributes and it performs some function, right? So I showed you some examples on that. Now let's look at the class called dynamic frame writer. So this class is used to write data onto S3, RDS, blah 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 in various formats. For example, JSON, Parquet, various file formats. So let me collapse this section right here since we have reviewed this part, and I'm gonna, I think that one, yeah. So this guy right here also provides three options. You have the ability from option, from catalog, and from JDBC conf. So that means that you could write data on an S3, you could write data on some database if you want, or data catalog. As I said, there are various options available. Let's look at that one by one at a high level overview. From options, man, what is this? Basically, it writes a dynamic frame using a specified connections and format. That means if you give it a data frame and if you provide a connection, it would write that data into that particular stuff. For example, the connection type. Oh, what connection type is it? S3, MySQL, Postgres, Redshift, SQL Server, Oracle. Then you say connection option, such as, oh, what is the connection option? Like S3, you give the path and all of that. So basically, that's what from options are for. Here is a very beautiful example that I would like to show you. Of course, that's my bucket. I should have said XXX, but whatever, it doesn't matter. As you can see, glue context.write dynamic frame, and I'm using from option, right? And then I'm basically saying, I'm saying here that, hey, frame, I'm giving it a data frame called drop null field S3. I mean, this is just a data frame object. And once I give that connection type as S3, then I'm telling the glue that, hey, I want you to write this data on an S3. Connection options, then I'm giving the path to that particular path where I want this data to be done. And then I say, hey, format as Parquet. That means I want you to, do a Parquet format. Here, similarly, you could post the data into JSON. You could also do, compression such as gzip, right? So it's pretty easy. It's pretty self-explanatory what this from option does. It basically writes the data to a particular connection that you provide. You also have an option for from catalog. Now you got the idea, right? This one is used to write data into the catalog. So this takes following attributes, takes a frame, a namespace, table name, Redshift temp directory, and transformation CTX. Frame is basically a dynamic data frame object. It takes this one can be optional, the Redshift temp directory. Transformation CTX is also optional. It's just a unique identifier, table name, which table you want to write, and the database. So on the glue console, you say, oh, you want to write to, suppose you create a table and you want to write data there. So that's exactly from catalog guy does. From JDBC conf is used to interact with various databases and various connections. So I mean, you can provide, if you want to write into MySQL or whatever XYZ, you could use this from JDBC conf, right? So that's that example. Now, one of the important things that we really need to understand is, let me actually collapse this part. It's the glue transform. Basically, this is the most important thing we need to really understand, because this allows you to transform the data, right? So, what are the different classes Glue offers? So, I'm not gonna read everything, but I'm gonna cover a few of them that I think are important. For example, removing null fields, right? You want to remove a null field from a data frame, right? You want to filter out certain things. You want to map certain things, right? You want to basically, let's say, flatten out a data frame or stuff like that, right? So you got the idea. So Glue already, the engineers have already written all of these high-level classes. You just need to call the class, right? That's exactly what the Glue transform does. Now let me explain you about the Glue transform a little bit in detail, and we'll see the first one, that's apply mapping, which is right here, this one right here. So we'll learn about apply mapping class now. So yeah, apply mapping. So let's do that. So the apply mapping method has following, that sub methods has following, again, as I said, methods. So apply mapping is a class, right? That's a class, and that class has following methods in it. So it has a method called apply, and these are other methods that this class has. So what this class does is basically you would use this code in order to change the mapping of a particular field. So assume, I'm saying, when you read the data frame, right? In the previous slides, when we did reading the data frame, I think it was this one, right? So when you read the data frame, right? Once you have a data frame object, a dynamic data frame, what you would do if you want to change a mapping of a particular, if you want to change, I think I'm zoomed in a lot. But if you want to change a mapping or if you want to change a data type, for example, the show ID is a long and you want to make it like, let's say, an integer, you could do that using the apply mapping transformation. It's a class. You could say apply mapping.apply, and then you provide a dynamic data frame, and then you provide a mapping that you would love to have. And a transformation CTX is just a unique identifier for it to identify. Hopefully that should make sense. It's pretty easy and self-explanatory. The next class that we have is drop null field in that. So that class has following methods. As I said, these are all the methods you could run on that particular class. Most probably I'm interested in the apply function right there. I have a code snippet. So basically simple, you say transform.drop null field.apply. That's the method, right? This is the class name. That's the package, right? So you say you provide a dynamic data frame, and then you provide a transformation CTX, and this should take care of it automatically. So hopefully, as I said, again, nothing complicated, pretty self-explanatory, right? So that's the drop null fields. The next one we have is drop field class. Basically, in order to drop a particular column, you could use this particular class to do that. And as I said, this class has these are the following methods that this class offers. What we are interested in is in the apply function, okay? Let me have a sip of coffee here. All right. So as I said, now assume that that's my JSON. Let me actually try to pull up Notepad. I know it's kind of hard to, I'm trying again. We haven't even gone to the code on the glue, right? We're still doing the theory part. Or the so this one has the JSON looks something like this, okay? I'm just making up. So what you see on the right hand side is the schema, right? So you have a name, you have an age. I'm just gonna, just you got the idea, right? So location, right? And that's a struct. Struct means it's a JSON, right? Then you have a state, some state, right? Then you have, I guess, country. Right, you have a country, and similarly you have a friends array. So that's a JSON you have. If you want to drop particular things, so here you can see drop fields.apply. You provide the data frame, and then you provide which one do you want to drop. So in this case, I'm saying, hey, go to the location inside that's a struct, right? So dot country, I want you to drop everything with that particular stuff. So it would drop that. Example of nested, if you want to do that, you could provide it in this fashion as well, like friends, that's an array dot age. So you want to go inside the nested array, right? So that's the example you would do. You would use a so as I can show you, it's pretty self-explanatory, nothing complicated. If you want to dive much deeper into any one of these, I would suggest rather to go into the documentation, and that would that would provide you more information about a particular class. So yeah, we did drop field, drop null fields and drop fields. Let me go to the next one, which is fill missing values. That's again the class name, and it has a method called apply. It has several methods, but the apply is one which we are looking for. So it's pretty self-explanatory. As I said, you use the apply method. It takes a data frame object. You provide the missing value column that you want to do, and the output column name, and a transformation CTX. Same thing. It follows all across. Transformation CTX is unique across. Is a unique string. So that's that. Now the next one that I want to show you is the filter. It is actually used to filter out contents in a data frame. So it offers following methods. As I said, this class offers following methods. What we are interested in, just apply, So code snippets, that's the JSON what we have. I think I can zoom in a little bit. So I want to basically, as you can see, I want to create an object. Since you can see this is a flattened location, I would like to create one object for location. So what this example shows is, oops, that's the missing one. I think that one, yeah. So what this example shows you here is filter.apply. You provide a data frame name, right? You give that, and then you provide a function. F is the function argument. As I can show you, I mean, this apply would take several arguments. You could go into the documentation and dig a little bit deeper on what arguments it takes. So it takes a function. So I'm saying that, hey, for that particular state, so as you can see, this one has a provided state with a string. So I'm saying if the state is in California or AL and the provided city is in blah or blah, then you wanna filter out the data frame. Well, this is how you would do that, right? On a Glue. So they offer all of these helper classes. Each classes has a method, and each method takes several attributes. So it's all about just reading at this point, I would say. So that's that. Then we have a rename field class. This is used to rename a particular field. Simple, as I said, rename field, it takes a data frame object, the old column and the new column name. That's how you do it. As I said, nothing fancy here. Then you have a map class. Map class is actually kind of interesting because, as I said, this has following methods. This class has the following methods. What we are interested in again is only the apply function. So I might zoom in a little bit, but as you can see, the map takes a frame object, it takes a function. These are all the attributes it takes. Okay, you can read more on that. Let me show you an example of that. So as you can see here, what we are doing in this example right here is we are reading the dataset from an S3, right? You're using a dynamic frame. So now this should make sense. From options, right? Same thing, nothing complicated. We are printing the schema, right? Let me go to the next slide. So that's the schema, that's a JSON, right? So what I want to do is I basically create a function that would basically map all of these flattened into a struct or an object, right? So as you can see, I'm creating an object here. I'm just basically putting everything on a nice object, right? Now, in order to invoke that, you would say map.apply. You would provide a data frame and the function. Now the function would basically map that into a object. As you can see in the output right here, this one right here, the address is a struct and it has following fields. So you just basically mapped it, right? So as I said, these are to study more, please go to this link, and if you want to run Glue scripts locally or on Docker, go to these links. Yeah, let's just see an example about the Glue now, right? We learned about all these theories and these fancy things. So go to your AWS console and let's end the tutorial by seeing a small demo. So AWS Glue right here, the first option right there. As I explained, database is basically you create a database, right? Each database would have a table, right? And each table would contain a meta information about your data catalog. Remember the example I gave you about the drawer that has spoons and stuff like that? So let's create the database, okay? So actually they offer a nice tutorial, so I'm kind of gonna follow that tutorial. So let's try to add a crawler, right? So I think it should be here. So yeah, so we'll click on this button right here, add crawler. Let's name the crawler as the flights data crawler, right? So click on next. We'll click on the data stores and crawl on all the folders. So we'll leave that one. So we'll click on next. Now what you gotta do is the path. So let's try to crawl over this particular file. So we'll do this, right? That's what they have given in the example. So let's understand with that one. Click on the next. Add another data store. We don't want to add another data store. Role, you want to give a role. So I think I already have one. So I'm just going to select one, or you can create one. So let's click on next. Frequency, I want to run on demand. Database, we don't have any database, so let's add a database. Let's call this database flights DB. I think, yeah, let's just. Okay, let's call this flights DB. Click on the create button, and then we could select that particular, that one. So now we're saying that, hey, I want to crawl over that particular folder, and the data should be stored in this one. Add a prefix to the table. Yeah, let's just add a prefix called as flights. Click on finish right here, and if you go on the top, basically on the database, you should see, because I haven't, yeah, now we can see flight DB tables. You won't have any tables at the moment, I believe, because you haven't crawled. Now let's tell the crawler. So crawler, remember what is? Open the drawer, see what all items you have, and write it on a piece of paper, like a meta database, right? So I'm gonna click here, and we say run crawler. Run crawler. Oh, sorry for that. So now the crawler is basically crawling over that particular file, and it's or the folder, and what it would do is it's gonna tell you list of all the particular fields that it found in that particular stuff. So status of 17 seconds. It might take a while because it has to crawl over the entire data set, I believe, or the folder. So I'm gonna refresh here. 29 seconds, 31 seconds. So it's still crawling. Yeah, it might take a while, guys. So be kindly and patient because it has to crawl and then. So let me try to see the table. So I think now the table does appear called flight CSV. Remember we added a prefix called flights. That's why you have that. And if I click on it, not sure if I could see, but yeah, these are all the fields that I have in that particular CSV file, right? So it basically was able to identify all the fields and their data type, big and blah blah blah. So you see what I'm trying to say? So database, now you have a table, and then you have a crawler. Crawler is basically which crawls and basically updates the meta database. So as you can see, that's the path for the crawler. So you kind of got the idea, right? What I was trying to say. So let's see if the crawler was complete. I think it should, yeah, I think it's complete. Yeah, it's stopping now. So I'm assuming it's complete. Now let's try to add a job. So let's try to follow this one. I'm gonna delete whatever I have. I just want to delete that one so I can start from scratch. Delete that one. Action. Delete that one. Okay, so now let's try to learn about jobs. What is a job? Basically, that's a script that you write to transform the data. All the thing we saw, dynamic data frame, the reader and stuff like that. So let's give this one flights conversion a name. So since you are learning, see, AWS offers a lot of material. You just gotta sit and learn, man. So let's leave everything to default. Spark, type as Spark and 2.4 Python. Leave that to default. Click on the next. Now it's asking me, hey, where do you want to crawl? Which table you want to crawl? I want to crawl on this table right here. So next, do you want to change the schema? That's basically it's that means that, hey, do you want to remove certain things or no? I mean, yeah, if you want to change stuff, and then you can again specify the data target. What's your target? Your target is your flight CSV, right? Next. So now it's gonna basically say, oh, what all things you want? Is this okay? Like, because for example, here is a big int, right? Do you want to make it to, like, you see, this got converted into a long, right? If you want to change the data types, you have the ability to do that. If you want to remove certain fields, you can also do that. My screen, I think it was somewhere here. Oh yeah. Let me remove this one. For example, that one, I removed this one. So you could remove all of these fields as well if you would like to do that. And once you do, click on save and edit job. I'm not gonna run the job because it would cost me money because I've already ran a lot of jobs. But now it basically gave you a script. Now I'm about to show you what the script is all about. So dump it here. Now it's easy, man. As I said, if you know what we are saying. So remember, this one right here is a basic template. This entire code right here. This is the basic imports. It's creating a Spark session. Now let's try to understand what all this code is, right? So this one right here, we are creating a dynamic data frame and we are reading the data from this database and that catalog. So this should make sense because now since we did see the presentation first, we understand the theory. Once that is done, now let's see what this transformation is. Apply mapping. So here we are trying to change the mapping of a particular, we are defining a mapping, as you can see. Right, I've already done all of these things, and I guess it was 2.py. So these are all the mappings for that particular stuff, right? So I'm just showing you what it does, right? Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. For example, resolve choices. So you're saying that, hey, I want to basically, transform everything this into a struct object. Struct is basically JSON, and you want to drop null fields if you want. You could add that part, and then you're writing the data back to an S3 storage using write dynamic frame. So, and then he has three options. Remember I showed you the slide, from option, from catalog, and what was that other thing? Something like JDBC. So you got the idea, right? Basically, if you really have understanding of all of these, once you know what all classes are there, what all methods are there, then writing code should be easy. I mean, at least you could read the documentation on and figure it out. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this small walkthrough about AWS Glue, and if you did enjoy this tutorial, a like on this video would be much appreciated, and I would really love to hear your suggestions in the comment section below. As usual, guys, if you have any more questions, list your questions in the comment section below, and keep smiling, keep learning, keep getting better and better each day, and all the materials such as slides and the code is in the description, so do check that out, and I would see you guys in the next upcoming video. Thank you so much.